bitch is back! Hell yes! Another chance for AOT to introduce a waifu to inevitably die a horrible death that kills all of our ships and sends us into a spiraling depression that culminates with us moving on until the cycle is yet again to be repeated. Damn you, Isayama! So another episode down. Only 4 more episodes to go until the inevitable end of Attack on Titan final season, which has once again brought up the question, how in the hell are they going to end the series in 4 episodes? Well, the hint, they probably aren't. But we'll get more into that at the end of the video. We also, during the video, have the events of this episode and the ultimate peek hanger, sneak peek, whatever pun you want to use to keep us on the edge of our seats until next week. Let's get into it. This is Attack on Titan final season, episode 12. It's also important to note that if you're a frequent commenter, I don't know why I'm using that voice, spoilers are heating back up for Attack on Titan. So if you can, be careful in the comment section as well. If you're one of those people who comment spoilers, you will be banned. You have been warned. So with all of that hula baloo out of the way, what's going on in this episode of AOT? Well, plenty of things to break down further and discuss. One of which being the crumbling of Paradis's military and, as an extension, government. We've been seeing throughout this season quite a bit that tensions are growing between Eren and his government. And with the Marley threat looming once more, it's only accelerating that process. The people of Paradis are now openly holding protests outside of all major government and military facilities, voting their displeasure with them and their support for one Eren Jaeger. This in of itself is a major event, as it shows even without Eren's involvement that the people are becoming more and more fractured in Paradis. But with Eren, it's giving the people a figure to root for, and as you can guess, Eren is using this to his advantage. Though I have a theory on this event. What if Eren and his newly dubbed Jaegerists are the ones behind this fracturing? What I mean is, what if Eren and his people purposefully put the seed of doubt into the people's minds about the military and eventually, by word of mouth, creating a movement? If so, then this move may have been planned out and even playing out for much longer than anticipated from right under them. The real question though, how was Eren able to get a group of people behind him in the military to do such a thing? Well, let's go back to the episode where they were deciding who should become the Colossal Titan. Do you remember who was there? Floch and Eren. My theory is that Eren saw Floch was against Armin becoming the Colossal Titan and naturally decided to play upon that emotion to recruit Floch, thus recruiting other like-minded people to his cause. But as well, you have to wonder something else. With Floch's attitude towards killing innocent Marley people in previous episodes, maybe that defiance from Floch not only was him knowing whose side he was on, but also a mirror of his leader's personality. If that is the case, then maybe this ruthless side of Eren is much more ruthless and calculating than we had previously thought. Naturally, my mind starts to drift to the letter Falco sent. I'm pretty sure we're just supposed to think this was sent to the people of Paradis like Hanj or Pixis, but maybe it was actually sent to someone like Floch or someone else altogether. If that is the case, what exactly was in that letter? Though, obviously that's just a crackpot theory. But another central figure in all of this, one where their allegiances is still a little murky, is Yelena and the anti-Marleyan volunteers. In this episode, she reveals that she did indeed go to meet Eren Jaeger, and they both agreed upon many things. Though what makes this interesting is that the volunteers weren't made aware of her meeting, and she kept that a secret from them. Plus, with the reveal of Yelena doing many heinous things to Marleyans that other volunteers weren't doing, makes Yelena and the volunteers, in a sense, 2 separate entities, even though she is the mastermind behind them. But when it comes to Eren and Zeke, Yelena seems to have another goal, and that's to be there alongside Eren and Zeke as they create their own new world. So this begs the question, whose side are the volunteers on in all of this? And at this point, does Yelena's goals conflict with the volunteers or complement them? Because keep in mind, the volunteers' goals are to stop Marley's oppression and tyranny. So if Eren and Zeke can promise that, will they follow and join their side, or will the opposite happen? Because while it may seem like they would join Yelena, maybe that's not the case, because if the Jaegerists are willing to kill their own people to create a new world order, will the volunteers even begin to agree with that decision? Obviously, they have no choice, much like Paradis, as Pixis realizes they can't do much, so they're just going to try and cooperate. But we've seen that the volunteers were able to operate in secrecy despite all of that with Marley anyways. If I were a betting man, I would say much like what Paradis is doing, they will likely join the side of the Jaegerists, as really, what choice do they have? Which brings me to the Jaegerists once more. With the formation of the Jaegerists, Eren is now in control of his own group, and because of this, that has led Pixis to essentially give up and try to use Historia and Zeke as bargaining chips, whether terms to not be wiped out or to just get more of a fair standing. I originally thought there would be some sort of conflict between the Jaegerists and Paradis, but now I'm thinking with the ending of this episode and Peak being in the mix, maybe they won't have enough time to even get to a conflict, and due to the war about to happen, they will have to join together and fight against the bigger threat of Marley and their army of titans returning to once again wreak havoc on the people of Paradis. While the playing field has been much more leveled, it's obvious that Paradis has the higher ground at this point, and like Reiner said in the previous episode, they're back to take the heat that was stolen by Paradis. Though I think that this battle will be equally as bad on both sides, as part of that is because of the divide between the Jaegerists and Paradis. But there are a couple brainwashed 12-year-olds that may change the outcome of this fight, whether good or bad. Hanj and our main cast are now going to the restaurant that will seemingly be ground zero in our next big battle of Attack on Titan, and both Falco and Gabby are there with the Blouse family. Obviously, we can only suspect that Gabby and Falco will be there to be retrieved by Peak and the others, as I don't think she went alone either. Though if you remember, this restaurant isn't the first time it's blessed our wonderful eyes. Remember when Nicolo handed the waiter a bottle of wine? Well, obviously something is going on at this restaurant, and it isn't just the fantastic food. And with Gabby and Falco now being there, I think what's going to happen is those two will be retrieved and brought back to Marley. But now, with the experiences they had in Paradis, that can now alter their mindsets on things to hopefully make better decisions for the future. But I think they will be central figures in these coming episodes, because if Eren is there and is involved, then Gabby will surely be sent into a flying rage because of it. Either way, the next episode is going to be full of some crazy fighting, and once again, I hope we see Eren and Reiner fight. But as well, I want to see what's happening with Eren now that he has the Warhammer Titan, and how he will be able to use both abilities in a fight to combine, mix and match them, or just maybe not do any of that at all. Either way, I can't wait to see what awaits in the coming episodes. As well as some minor things to discuss in this episode before moving on to our final topic of how this series is going to end. Hitch is back! It's been many moons since we've seen Hitch in the series, and while she lost many of her friends since then, she seems to be the same Hitch as always. This time, she teases Armin about staying with Annie, but I think there is something neat to take away from this. I think many people view Annie as this symbol more than they even do a person at this point. Armin in particular uses this place so far to talk to her and get off his chest the things that's bothering him. My theory is that they're doing this not only to show the connection the characters still have to that original cast, but as well that Annie will be coming back, hopefully, and will play an integral role in the fight against Marley. Yeah, that's right, I'm saying it. I think she will join the side of Paradis because, I mean, that would just be an all-time moment of her breaking out of her crystal to join the side of humanity against Marley. That's kinda cool. Then you have the deal with Azumabito that I think we should all be keeping an eye on. With fear of losing her backing by Hizuru, the only chance for her clan of surviving is really if Mikasa survives. Obviously, Mikasa doesn't care too much about this, but at the same time, Azumabito has literally no other option but to protect her, whether Mikasa agrees or not. This is another wrinkle in this high-stakes political battle, as by default, Paradis has an ally in Hizuru due to the sheer necessity of Azumabito's survival as a clan. It's pretty interesting. But a nice note about this scene was Azumabito telling Mikasa that she knows the things that people say about her clan. It's a small moment in all of this, but gives a lot of character to Azumabito and something for her clan to prove to everyone. It also, in a sense, makes Azumabito a more sympathetic side in all of this, even if they won't be playing some grand role anytime soon. So with that being said, what's going on with Attack on Titan possibly not being fully adapted in this season? Does this mean it will be an incomplete adaptation? Does this mean that they are going to rush the rest of the episodes like The Promised Neverland Season 2? Well, while we have no answers, and this is just speculation, the likely answer to this, as we've discussed in so many previous podcasts and videos, is that there will likely be a final season, part 2. 2, which is very funny to say for obvious reasons. Though for the people who are worried that they would rush or mistreat AOT, do keep in mind the significance of this series. It's a worldwide cultural phenomenon. This series isn't just another anime. This series is one of the biggest entertainment properties in the world, something that Promised Neverland and Tokyo Ghoul really just aren't. So, in a way, Attack on Titan is protected by the sheer size of the franchise itself at this point to where they really cannot fuck it up or else receive backlash on a level that has never seen before for an anime. That's just my 2 cents, but I recently just did a video talking about Promised Neverland's adaptation and if there will be an FMA Brotherhood style adaptation for it, and it was an interesting topic, so I decided, yeah, why not discuss it in this video a little bit more. So check that video out if you haven't had the time. It came out yesterday at the time of this recording. But with all of that out of the way, put down in the comments your theories on what will happen in the next episode, but as well be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to never miss an Attack on Titan or Promised Neverland video. And an announcement here, starting next season, we will be covering Fruits Basket final season weekly on the channel, and as well many other shows you really don't want to miss. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.